So what's the next resonant style? It's the affiliative style. Now, this really focuses on collaborative competence. This is concerned with promoting harmony in the organization, fostering friendly interactions inside the organization, nurturing personal relationships inside the organization or in the family. When I say organization, I mean just a collective of people. It's about expanding the kind of connective tissue, this idea of creating cultural resonance or harmony. Harmony is a big word for the affiliative style. And so this kind of values people, taking some downtime to refocus, to, get well. I mean, one of the things that I instituted in my last role as a chief executive was wellness days. I think I may have spoken about this in a previous session where I said, you know what, I'm going to institute this idea called wellness days. It's not a holiday, so I'm not taking it off your holidays. I'm still paying you for the day. But if you don't feel well, don't come to work. I mean, stay at home, take the day off, recharge, revitalize, rejuvenate, and then come back to work when you're ready. And
sounds much more positive than sicky, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's like, you're not feeling well, take a wellness day, right? And so because it is a very positive skew on it. And so what I found was my finance director at the time, she said to me, "You're crazy. People are going to be taking days off all over the place and being paid for it. It's going to cost us a fortune." And I said, "You know what? Just trust people to do the right thing." I'm very much about that. I'm very much about trusting people to do the right thing if they're given the responsibility and they know why I'm kind of providing this for them. And so after the first month, I said to her, "What is the number for the wellness days?" Now, this is when I had a staff of 125 people. And so what's the number for the wellness days? 2 people in the previous month, Michelle.
Wow.
2 people took wellness days. And I just went, well, there you go. Look at that. They're using it properly, right? And then in the next month, I think it was like 3 or something like that. But the number was always very small.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
That's incredible, Glenn. Very, oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah. So what happened in the organization? People looked at me and said, he trusts me. And not only that, he cares about me enough to say, I'm not going to deduct that from your holiday pay, or your holidays. I trust you. I'm giving this to you as a gift just to make sure that you look after yourself. And so that's really kind of a key cornerstone of this idea of the affiliate leadership style. That was an example of me doing that. Now, what's the fourth of the resonant styles? So far we've been through, what have we been through, Michelle? We've been through the visionary style, we've been through the coaching-based style, and we've been through the affiliative style. Now we're talking about the democratic, say it properly, Glenn, the democratic style. And so this is really all about leaders who potentially come into a new organization. They're a bit uncertain about the organization or what direction to take. I've adopted this leadership style when I've come in new to an organization. And what they do is they request ideas from the team members. It's like, I'm going to kind of open up the floor here and say, we're all sitting around the table here, and I'm really interested in your point of view as to where we are, where do you think we need to go, and how do you think we're going to get there? It's that classic BVS to CVS that I keep talking about, keep referring to. And so it's really opening it up. Now, this really opens up to everything. It opens up to the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I think the leader's doing this in a way where they don't want to be judgmental about that. They want to kind of say, it's okay, there are no bad ideas. I'm really interested in hearing your point of view. Now, this is really leaders that do have a high EQ, high emotional intelligence. And when I say emotional intelligence, I really mean energetic intelligence, Michelle. These are leaders that are good listeners, that are non-judgmental, they're accepting, they ask grounded questions, those basic questions that really kind of get to the nub of things, and they overcome conflicts, right? And so this kind of leadership style works well to surface ideas, to generate fresh ideas, and to not only that, to identify talent. because what leaders find, what I found when I did this, is you start seeing people pop up with, like the most unexpected people with incredible ideas where you say, where did you come from? And where did these brilliant ideas you've got come from? And so not only does it surface a lot of good ideas and fresh ideas, but it surfaces great talent, and that's why this kind of democratic style is really so useful. It does rely on leaders creating a high degree of trust and buy-in and respect, and commitment, and they're kind of really great byproducts of this style as well. And so they're the 4 resonant or multiplying leadership styles. Now, Michelle, I want to jump into the dissonant leadership styles, or the leadership styles that are diminishing generally. Now, there are some rules around this that I want to kind of talk about. And so the first of the dissonant leadership styles is pace setting. Now, this is characterized by a total focus and pressure to achieve goals. Now, what's going on in our current world in most businesses? They just live in a constant state of pace-setting leadership style, which means the organisation is compelled to achieve these short-term financial goals. We've got to hit the targets, we've got to hit the budgets, we've got to make the money. It's all about money, right? And so most organisations, as we know, do not have visions. They actually replace the vision with an objective which is financially driven. And so do people want to belong to that? No, they don't actually. They're just cogs inside an organisation that are assigned to work. They've got to work as hard as humanly possible. All of this is kind of emotionally, energetically dissonant, and this is the kind of leadership style that most organisations are subjected to. Now, this really is at the expense of people especially if it's prolonged. And so leaders should restrict, my advice is that leaders should restrict this style of leadership. Now, can pace setting be a resonant style? It can, when it's used strategically. That means that you could be using it once or twice a year where you say, we're going to set up a goal, guys, and what we're going to do is reward you. And I wouldn't suggest rewarding with money. I think that's the wrong kind of reward. The most powerful way to reward people, from research we've found, is recognition. It really is all about recognizing people's role in an organization inside the context of the pace setting or whatever the goals were that needed to be achieved. And so this kind of, this is really all about getting the organization around this shared goal inside the context of being around a shared vision, right? So that's really important part of it. And then, putting a time frame on it, putting a number on it, and then having it finish once it's over. Now, whether it's achieved or not. And so most organisations do this. If they didn't achieve the goal, they go straight into the next pace-setting situation and say, well, we didn't achieve that one. We've got to go back in and go hard and achieve it, right? Because that's right. This is the way organisations tend to run. And what they do is they burn people out. They create stress and anxiety. People eventually shut down their creativity and imagination, and ultimately they shut down their productivity. And so, as I said before, this kind of pace-setting style is best used in short bursts that achieve short-term goals infrequently. And of course, pace-setting works better, is a resonant style, when it's used like that in the context or in tandem with the visionary style. But when it's used and abused too much, the pace-setting style is dissonant and it burns people out. It disenchants people. People become detached from the organisation energetically. Although they're physically there, they're energetically, mentally detached from the organisation, which means they go back into this kind of presenteeism. Which means they're there to do as little as possible to get as much as possible, because they actually don't like the place. And so that's the pace-setting style. Now, the second style, or the sixth style overall, but the second dissonant style, is the style that I've been referring to and I refer to often in terms of the most predominant leadership style on the planet at the moment, which is the command and control leadership style. It's everywhere.
It
So
is.
the world is absolutely rife with coercive leaders who ruthlessly demand compliance and don't bother explaining the reasons behind it. And so they tend to resort to this kind of passive aggressive behaviors or threats when things don't get done. And they would rather, or rather than delegate, they seek to keep a really tight control of every single situation. It's like they're standing over your shoulder, monitoring you, consistently looking at you, everything you do. And so, the other thing about these kinds of leaders is when things don't go well, they have a tendency to shift the focus away from themselves and what, their responsibilities are, and blame and shame others. And, they have a tendency to do it in front of other people as well, which is kind of accentuates just how diminishing and destructive this leadership style. If I had to kind of define this leadership style, it's really a top-down, cold, intimidating, command and control leadership style, and it does effectively contaminate everyone's mood and the quality of their life and the quality of the culture. Effectively, the whole thing spirals down. And, you've got a group of people here that are actually dissonant, they're disharmonious, and they're disconnected, and they don't want to play the game. And, to your point before, Michelle, they're incredibly unhappy. Now, let me ask you, Michelle, have you ever been a part of an organisation like that?
I certainly have. And just a couple of comments there.
Yeah, please do.
On the rewards. Now, in a family with children, a star chart, that's the reward, to be able to put a star on the chart. And it's not monetary, it's about seeing
that's recognition. That's recognition.
It's recognition, and they love it. It works for a time, and then you try a different reward system. But that works. And on the other, the dissonant side, parents who say to their kids, because I said so, you can't do that because I said so. And all of that, it's the same. It's in the workplace and it's in the family. And that sort of leadership as a parent doesn't make for a happy household. It's just a power thing. And I suppose kids grow up thinking that's how you do it, and that's how they become those types of leaders. Just my opinion.
No, your opinion is a very good one, Michelle, because this is what actually happens in organisations. What you're suggesting happens in the family, and it does happen in the family. Don't do as I do, do as I say. That happens in organisations. And so when people watch this leadership style, this command and control leadership style, they're organically taught that this is the way to do things. This is the way to get ahead. And so, dissonant styles have a tendency to, create and proliferate dissonant styles. But the same is true for the opposite, by the way. Resonant styles have a tendency to proliferate resonant styles. And, one is eminently more enjoyable, the experience is enjoyable than the other. Because with the resonant style, with the visionary style, with the coaching-based style, the affiliate style and the democratic style, using these styles in a way that kind of works for the situation, right? And this is where the real intelligence around what I'm talking about here comes from, is the ability to choose which style is best going to work for the situation. And so this is, if people are going to say, well, which style do you recommend, Glenn? Well, of course, I recommend the visionary style first and foremost, for the leader to have their personal vision, their personal core purpose, their why, and who and what organized. I mean, every individual has got to be clear about that. And of course, that's the work I do with leaders, as you know. And then to be able to say, now, am I going to go into the coaching-based style in this particular situation? Do they need my, support and guidance? Or am I going to go into the affiliative style where I'm going to help them to personally grow and develop and I'm really concerned about them. Am I going to go into the democratic style and open up the conversation and say, I'm really interested in ideas. There are no bad ideas. Bring it all on. And this is what I'm kind of looking for, or this is the brief for the ideas. The pace setting style, where it's all about being able to use that intelligently inside the visionary style, where you say, once or twice a year, we're going to have these, goals where, we're going to go after it. It's a very short term thing. And regardless of what happens, I'm going to recognize the people inside the visionary leadership style in a way that's like that star, on the fridge that you were talking about with the kids, where recognition is really important. And then, of course, there's the command and control style. Now, I didn't talk about that as being, potentially positive as well. There are situations where the command and control leadership style can be resonant, but, the situation usually is when the organization or the person is under really heavy competitive stress, or is under a situation that requires the kind of leadership that is strong leadership, that is powerful leadership, where the leader leads from the front because people are looking for the leader for guidance and direction. They're looking for strength of leadership, where the leader says, I've worked out what we're going to do, let's go. And everybody rallies behind the leader inside the context of the vision, and off they go. Now, that's when the command and control leadership style really works. But the problem in today's world is the command and control leadership style is everywhere and used all the time. And that's what makes it diminishing.
And they don't respect their staff.
They don't respect their staff.
They don't respect their opinion. It's like, as you said, do as I say. Because I said so.
Because I said so. Not for any good reason, right?
It's everything.
Yeah, not because we're sharing a vision here that's in the best interests of everybody involved. Is to the benefit of everybody. Everybody wins, right? I mean, if we achieve, we head in this harmoniously and in a tuned manner, head toward this vision as a collective, all playing our roles, right? All doing what we need to do in the right way. We're in, as Collins and Porra would say, you got the right people in the right seat on the right bus, right? And so they're all doing what they're meant to be doing and working together.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Well done, Michelle. Beautiful word. Synchronicity, where they're co-creating, collaborating, cooperating together in harmony, and they understand where they're going and why they're going there. And there's short-term goals inside the process. Yeah, no problem. Let's do that. Those little spikes, but it's not all the time. And I haven't got this, basically sociopathic leader who doesn't care about me or my family or my life or my health, who is just driving me and telling me what to do every minute of every day and is looking over my shoulder, in a way that is destructive. It's diminishing and destructive. And so the biggest challenge we've got in the world today is we have a massive lack of visionary people and visionary leaders, and a massive abundance of command and control, operational and functional sociopaths. Wow. I'm sorry, I just had to say it, Michelle. It had to come out.
Yes. Yeah, and we don't want that anymore.
We don't want that anymore. And so I really want to do.
Vibe even talking about.
I know. But we've got to face the facts, right? I mean, you've got to face the situation and say, this is actually what's going on in the world. Look around. I mean, just look around. And I would challenge anybody to tell me that they've never experienced that kind of leader. I mean, I'd say anybody in a job anywhere would have experienced that and would have said, yeah, I've got my story about that. And in fact, I've got a dozen stories about that, I can tell you, honestly, I'll put my hand up and say, I've experienced that kind of leadership, and I've been that kind of leader until I worked out that this just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with my heart. It doesn't sit well when I look around at these people and see a whole sea of faces that are basically in fear and unhappy. And it doesn't sit well with me when I look at the results of the organization that I'm running and they're crap. And I'm wondering why, we're not achieving great things, why we're not achieving great creativity or great, productivity or great, ROI. in terms of the numbers. And I kind of, I've done this where I'm just doing a complete switch. I'm flicking the switch today and I'm getting out of that command and control crap and I'm moving into the vision, and I've done the work myself around myself and my personal vision and core purpose and unique higher source identity. And as you know, this is the work I do with people, and I invite people to explore the work I do and engage with me. It'd be great. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. And then to do that for the collective as well, and work out what the collective. I've recently done, as you know, this with Brownie and with the collective, where I've sat with him and worked out his personal vision, his personal core purpose, his personal unique identity, so that he's got massive clarity and focus. Not to say he wasn't clear before, but now he's even more clear. And to develop this kind of positioning for the organization now around sovereign conscious leaders.
It's it's interesting for anybody who's been following Brownie. They will have seen his growth. He's always been a lovely, lovely, respectful leader. But now you're absolutely right. You can see that, and in all of us, actually.
And in all of us, yeah.
How much we've grown and how much we're trusting our inner knowing now. That's one for me.
Michelle, you just bring out beautiful points, right? I love the way you've got this insight where you can pull this stuff out. What you're talking about, this inner knowing, is emotional intelligence. It's called intuition. And so, one of the things I teach in my program is how to develop your emotional intelligence and specifically your intuitive powers. And by the way, massive research around this. There was a study done by Cambridge where they basically found that the most successful leaders had an IQ to EQ of 15% for IQ and 85% for EQ. So the most successful leaders are leaders who trust their intuition, who are emotionally intelligent. And then there was another study done by Harvard, Michelle, where they asked the top 3% of their alumni, the most successful alumni, what the key success factors were. And guess what one of the top 3 was? Can you guess?
I'll go ahead.
Intuition. Trusting, developing their intuitive powers and trusting their intuition. And so what is this? It's emotional intelligence. It is developing their EQ, or their energetic intelligence. And so, I kind of equate EQ, emotional intelligence, energetic intelligence, to the quantum, because what's the quantum all about? It's all about energy. It's all about knowing and understanding that we are all energy. We're all energetically connected. And like energy attracts like energy.
So what's the Q stand for in IQ?
Quotient.
Quotient, right.
IQ, intelligence, quotient. EQ, emotional quotient.
And
SQ, what's SQ?
I don't know, you got me
there. Spiritual intelligence, spiritual quotient. And of course, with the leaders that I work with, I take them on this journey of IQ to EQ to SQ, intelligence to energy, emotional intelligence to spiritual intelligence. This is the game, right? This is the whole game that we really need on this planet right now. And I'm kind of at the forefront of helping leaders to do this.
I think it was you who was talking about IQ and how you can do the test and then you can do it again and you get a different result, different questions. Another one, get a different.
Well, I'm going to be honest about this, Michelle, since you bring it up. I did an IQ test just out of interest. It wasn't something that was forced on me. I just thought, I'm going to pick an IQ test and I'm going to do it and see how I go. And I got about 122 on my first go round, right? And then I started thinking, and I thought, what would happen if I did it again? I wonder if I get a better IQ result. I really want a better IQ result. And so I did it again, and guess what happened?
And they were different questions?
No, same. I did the same IQ test.
Okay, yep.
Right, so I did the same one. And so I got better at it. I mean, I got better at doing that. This is what I'm talking about here, is the whole fallacy behind IQ.
Yeah.
Right? Just rubbish. I did the same IQ test again, but this time round I got 137. And so then guess what I did? I went, this is awesome. I'm going to do it again. And so I did the same IQ test again. I got 142. And so, and so I walked around saying to my wife, Victoria, I've got an IQ of 142. Do you realize how smart I am? And so the fact of the matter was I was smart because I rorted the system.
Yeah.
I ripped off the system. I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it until I just got better and better and better. Now, can anybody do this? Of course they can. Anybody can do this and say, I got an IQ of 125 for the first one, and then I got 130 for the next one, and then 150 for the next one, and now I'm a genius. And my kind of view is you don't need an IQ test to know that you're a genius, because all of us are geniuses. All of us. We've just got to uncover our inner genius, right? And so one of my favorite quotes is, I am a genius and I am sharing my wisdom. Everybody should be doing it. We need a world that is doing this stuff now. And of course, my work in my leadership work with people is to take them through a process of how to do that. And so there's going to be a link below if you want to kind of check out my leadership stuff. I'm very happy to share that with you so you can explore that and potentially jump into the program. Now, today, Michelle, I want to finish with a quote. One of the best quotes about leadership that I've ever read, and it's from 2,500 years ago. Now, why is it I've got to go back 2,500 years to get a quote on leadership that inspires me, that is really insightful? And it's by this guy, Lao Tzu. Mm-hmm. Now, Lao Tzu wrote the book called the Tao Te Ching, And so, he was kind of, he's seen as the creator of Tao, the Taoism, spelt T-A-O. Now, this is his quote on leadership. Now, I want people to really think about this, play it back several times, this video, and just think about this quote. To lead people, walk beside them. As for the best leaders, people do not know of their existence. The next best, people honor and praise. The next, people fear. And the next, the people hate. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, we did it ourselves. It's pretty inspiring stuff, isn't it? Imagine being the kind of leader that leads from beside or even from behind and has a group of people who create magnificent things and then stand up and say, we did it ourselves. This is what leadership, the new breed of leader, is really all about, Michelle.
Oh, what a great way to finish, Glenn. Thank you very much. So tonight's Q&A, we'll put the link down below, even though it hasn't happened yet. But
I'm going to do it this time, Michelle, I promise. I'll put the link for tonight's session below, because we will be talking about this subject again, amongst other things.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, Glenn, for another great insight into sovereign conscious leaders. Please subscribe, everyone, so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you, and bye for now.
Bye for now, Michelle. Thank you again. See you next time soon.